Denver is seeing the most migrants in shelters in months as we debunk a congresswoman's false claim that those people are getting thousands of dollars a month from the government.
Absolutely not. That's just not happening.
A new way to support LGBTQ young people in one of Colorado's fastest growing areas.
Being LGBTQ plus in rural areas is unique and it's special, and it deserves to be honored and it deserves to have resources.
The head of the state Republican Party accuses other Colorado Republicans of treason. And if that makes you want to launch yourself into space, grab a hold of the moon rover they're building at School of Mines. They'll test it for us on Next. The number of migrants in Denver shelters is now at its highest point since May. 82 new arrivals from the southern border today. That brings the total to 1,100 in city shelters. The migrants are being helped by a variety of private groups and government organizations. They are not getting thousands of dollars a month in payments from the government, as Congresswoman Lauren Boebert claimed to her millions of online followers. Our Marshall Zellinger puts Boebert's claim to the truth test.
On her blue-checked, paid-for personal and campaign account, Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert posted this. President Biden is giving each illegal family $2,200 per month, plus a free plane ticket and free medical care. This is not true. When we asked where the $2,200 a month dollar amount comes from, her congressional office sent us a link to this article from the Gateway Pundit, a far-right website known for posting misinformation and election denial claims. It's not clear what Boebert means by each illegal family. If she's talking about migrants, no, they do not get direct monthly dollars from the government.
They're here with their papers. They have gone through the border, through immigration. They have an appointment, whether it is in a year or 2 years, to actually look at their case.
Yoli Casas helps migrants coming through Denver with Viva Wellness. The group helps migrants with some basics, like transportation and permanent housing.
The money that we have goes directly to the apartment complex, goes directly to pay. We buy the RTD passes. You know, we buy a phone if nobody, or chip. Nobody has gotten money in hand at all.
The Gateway Pundit article also links to a State Department memo about refugees. If that's what Boebert means by each illegal family, it's still inaccurate. And based on this memo, they are not receiving monthly payments from the government either. The memo says agencies that help resettle refugees receive a one-time payment of $2,375. The agencies can use about half that money to provide rental assistance, food, clothing, or furnishing for refugees, and about half for administrative needs. I followed up with Boebert's office for any supporting information that someone in the country without proper documentation is receiving some monthly payment from the government. That was an email earlier this afternoon, and Kyle, I have not heard back yet.
I mean, we looked at this every which way to figure out could she just be mistaken or confused, and it's just not there.
The resettling agencies tell me that it's possible that a refugee could receive some payment assistance for rental assistance or some food assistance, but not like a direct, here's a couple $1,000s every month.
All right, well, if she gets back to us on where she came up with this, we'll look again. Marshall, thank you. The city of Denver has already paid out millions of dollars to settle police brutality lawsuits from the 2020 social justice protests. And tonight, City Council approved another $1 million settlement with a handful of protesters that include a former mayoral candidate. Most of these latest settlements will go to protesters who were acting as medics during the social justice protests. They say that Denver police officers shot them with pepper balls or other projectiles. But the city's also paying $50,000 to settle a lawsuit with community activist and former mayoral candidate Terrence Roberts. He says he was pepper sprayed while he was leading a peaceful counter-protest to a pro-police rally at Civic Center Park, July of 2020. So Denver's racked up $4 million in settlements, plus another $4 million in a class action settlement. And then there is the big one. The city is still appealing a $14 million jury verdict from another police brutality case. So the field is set for a school board race that is going to be watched well beyond Denver. The DPS school board, as you know, is Dysfunction Junction. And there's now a last-minute candidate in the race to replace outgoing Vice President Ayante Anderson as he runs for the state legislature. Anderson is backing this new entrant, Brittany Johnson. She's a community organizer and DPS parent. She has a series of progressive and Democratic Socialist endorsements in the race. Johnson says she wants to revise standardized testing in favor of more holistic measures and recruit more mental health professionals. Johnson joins 3 other candidates on the ballot. Former East High principal John Youngquist is running. So is former Tattered Cover CEO Kwame Spearman, who left the bookstore to unsuccessfully run for mayor. And there's also Paul Ballinger, DPS parent and former private school security consultant. Alka Hansen, an executive at an education nonprofit, dropped out of the race last month. The head of the state Republican Party says the Coloradans who are challenging whether Donald Trump can appear on the ballot under the 14th Amendment are engaged in treasonous behavior. Treason, of course, is a capital crime. It is punishable by death or up to life in prison.
Getting back to the so-called Republicans on this lawsuit, shame on them. They are willing participants, along with Democrats and left-wing groups, to engage in election interference. And this is treasonous, what they're doing. And again, we won't take it lying down.
So that's Colorado GOP Chair Dave Williams making that allegation of treason in a talk radio interview with Colorado Christian University's Jeff Hunt. So there's this group of unaffiliated and Republican voters from Colorado that are working with a liberal group out of Washington to ask a court whether Trump can run for office based on the 14th Amendment's disqualification of anybody who's participated in an insurrection. Republican Congressman Ken Buck is trying to convince the Colorado Republican Party to stop defending January 6 rioters accused of attacking law enforcement. Buck recently wrote a detailed debunking of the state GOP's letter to supporters backing the January 6 rioters.
It's an issue that may be important to some, but it's not the issue that those that are in the middle of the political spectrum want to hear about in making a decision for president. So I don't want to get distracted from the really important issues that we have facing our country right now.
The letter from the Colorado GOP to Republican voters said that supporting the January 6 prisoners needed to be a top priority of the Republican Party. Out Boulder County is expanding the work that it does to help LGBTQ teenagers to Weld and Larimer counties after a survey showed that those young people were not getting the support they need. Here's Jaleesa Arizari with that.
Murals have a way of bringing emotion to the surface, but it's the pain that can't be seen.
And that includes our LGBTQ plus youth.
That keeps Joy Sullivan up at night.
This mural is a visual representation of what our kids are experiencing and what they're asking of us. Right now, what we're really seeing is a mental health crisis among our youth.
Sullivan is the CEO of United Way of Larimer County. The 2021 Healthy Kids Colorado survey showed the Fort Collins-based nonprofit exactly what they needed to do next.
1 in 3 kids identifies as part of the LGBTQ plus community in Larimer County. And of those youth, their rates of suicide ideation, thinking about suicide or self-harm, are critically disproportionate to their peers.
That's where B1 and Ash Neufeld come into play.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of possibilities for what this space can be. Being LGBTQ plus in rural areas is unique and it's special, and it deserves to be honored, and it deserves to have resources.
Neufeld is Out Boulder County's new Northern Colorado community manager, focusing on LGBTQ plus services for both Weld and Larimer County. Mental health will be a top priority. The Healthy Kids Colorado survey shows about 40% of students surveyed that identify as gay or lesbian hurt themselves. That's compared to the 19% of straight students that say they do. And for those students that identify as other, 58% admitted to hurting themselves.
We want to see the statistics of mental health that are really troubling go down.
It may be a while before change is visible. Until then, mental health support for LGBTQ plus youth will be at the heart of all that they do.
We see you, we hear you. You belong here.
For Next, I'm Jaleesa Arizari.
Larimer County and Weld County are among the fastest growing parts of the state population-wise. They made up 51% combined of the state's population growth last year. I have to thank you for what you did to help migrants get acclimated in Colorado. Your latest Word of Thanks microgiving campaign raised almost $25,000 for El Centro. That's a nonprofit in Denver that has long connected day laborers with employers who promise to pay them fairly, treat them fairly. Through 169 straight weeks of microgiving, you have raised $11.3 million for nonprofits in every corner of our state. If you know of a need or a concern in your community, even if you're not sure who's working on it, you just know the problem exists, let me know, and I'll try to find a trusted nonprofit that's in a position to have us help. Email any thoughts on that to me at next@9news.com.
It's cool. It's space. It's robots on the moon.
Harvesting on the moon. But first, practice in Colorado. The feds are thinking about making it more expensive to drill for oil and gas on Colorado's public lands. Some operators might just give up on that altogether. And coast-to-coast events today, paying tribute to the lives lost 22 years ago. Federal regulators are proposing new rules for oil and gas that would make it more expensive to drill on millions of acres of land in Colorado. These new rules proposed by the Bureau of Land Management would raise royalty and rental fees paid to the federal government for drilling on our lands. And the new rules would also make companies cover the cost of cleanup when they're done with sites. In Colorado, those restrictions could impact 8 million acres of public lands and another 27 million acres of mineral estates. The Biden administration has been working on a number of ways to scale back energy production on public lands. When Republicans blocked a land bill that had bipartisan support, Biden acted unilaterally to stop oil and gas drilling on 225,000 acres of Colorado's Thompson Divide. Well, it's running about a month behind schedule, but it's finally here. Some of Colorado's mountain peaks got their first taste of snow for the season today. I can show you Copper Mountain here, but not only did they get snow at Copper, but Pikes Peak, Longs Peak, Loveland Pass, parts of Rocky Mountain National Park, all got a good dusting today. Summer's not over yet. I know officially we're not there, but we're actually running behind in terms of first snow compared to the last couple of years when the peaks were getting their first snow in mid-August. Danielle Grant, I would not have known that we were behind, but honestly, I feel like I'm still thrown off by how wet of a spring and early summer we had, like the way gardens are behaving and things like that. Like what are seasons, right? What are seasons?
It's just all the extremes happening here in Colorado this year. Yeah, you know what? It was kind of winter up in the high country and certainly felt like fall here in the metro area. The clouds, the rain that we all woke up to. Wow, really starting to make you think about the horizon and what's coming up next. We so far are looking at about 1/4 inch of rain out at DIA so far for the month, running about half of average thus far, but I have another storm system on the way, so we certainly will be making up for that probably and then some. Across downtown tonight, you'll notice some blue skies, a little bit of sunshine. It's feeling good, and those temperatures will warm up a bit for us as we look ahead toward tomorrow. 71 officially out at DIA, although it really didn't feel like it. 70s off to the eastern plains, 60s and 70s to the mountains this afternoon. That system that cruised across Colorado late last night, overnight into this morning, now impacting our neighbors out there in Kansas as well as Oklahoma and across the Midwest. Tonight here in town, we're looking at clearing skies, drier air moving in from the northwest with a few lingering showers south of I-70. That's where the rain stays this evening, and then everything kind of clearing out by 11 p.m. Tomorrow morning, we'll wake up to some sunshine here in Denver, but cloudy skies out to much of southwestern Colorado. And look at this, by the afternoon, 3-4 o'clock, that rain starts zipping in toward the San Juans, the San Luis Valley. I anticipate us staying dry here in Denver. We'll call it partly sunny, and daytime highs will soar back into the mid-70s for us, so it will feel a bit warmer. 70s for many of us off to the eastern plains, and then look at this 7-day forecast. Storms will be isolated Wednesday afternoon, but will top at 80, which still, believe it or not, is below average for this time of the year. Strong cold front rolls in on Thursday, and that drops daytime highs to the low 60s. Good chance of rain around here and cloudy skies, but Mother Nature brings back the heat and the sunshine just in time for the weekend.
School of Mines is working on a little robot with a big purpose. Now they just need NASA to see its promise. And America's promise to always remember those lost on 9/11. That was kept today by a number of Coloradans. Today marks 22 years since 9/11 and the terrorist attacks that killed nearly 3,000 people. Those lives were remembered today in ceremonies around the U.S. and here in Colorado. In New York City, moment of silence at Ground Zero, followed by a reading of the names of the victims. Nearly 3,000 people were killed when the 4 hijacked planes flew into the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. Dozens more died in Pennsylvania. They fought back against the hijackers and took their plane down short of its target. Here in Colorado, events paid tribute to the first responders who climbed up and down the 110 stories of the World Trade Center, saving those trapped inside. Every year, Coloradans head out to Red Rocks or to high-rises on this day to do their own climbs in remembrance. Many local firefighters climbing in full gear. And in Colorado Springs, firefighters headed up the 2,700 steps of the Manitou Incline this morning in their own tribute. They hit the first step at 8:46 Eastern Time, the exact time the first plane hit the World Trade Center 22 years ago. Researchers at Colorado School of Mines are sending one of their projects straight to the moon, or so they hope. They've partnered up with a local aerospace company, and they're competing for actual funding from NASA.
We have a team that is performing a simulation of a mining operation on the moon.
Our team is taking part of the Centennial Challenge that NASA puts out, and this is the Break the Ice Challenge.
We've poured a concrete slab that's simulating the ore deposit, and then we have rover vehicles that we built that are excavating, digging up the concrete, which is simulating ice-impregnated dirt on the moon. Lunar dirt has a fancy name, it's called regolith. And then we have to transport it from the ore deposit to our home base, which is 500 meters away. So water is a very important resource in space because you can split water into hydrogen and oxygen and make rocket fuel.
They're being controlled by a off-the-shelf controller. Right now we're using Xbox controllers. My name is Tim Roslov. I'm a PhD candidate at Colorado School of Mines. Challenges like this allow us to learn more about some of the difficulties that we would need to solve.
These kind of challenges provide incentive for private companies and innovators.
A jackhammer and a scoop is the best way and the most efficient way to extract. My name is Justin Cyrus, and I'm the CEO of Lunar Outpost. When I was a student at Colorado School of Mines, I did my master's in electrical engineering and space resources, and I grew and I learned a lot more through these types of challenges and projects than I did ever just sitting in a classroom.
They get hands-on experience with hardware and planning a big project like this, operating these kind of robots.
If it's something that we as a team can contribute to for learning opportunities down the road to help get something like this on the moon, that'd be extraordinary.
It's cool, it's space, it's robots on the moon. You know, what can be more exciting than that?
If they're successful with this, the mines team could get $1.5 million in funding from NASA that they then use to continue their development of that rover to excavate and transport ice on the moon. We'll have your feedback next. It's a sign that only seems like a real threat at first. Mallory spotted the sign up in Conifer, guard dogs on duty. Then you look a little bit closer, and I think those are the dogs they're referring to, which actually look like goats. None of them seem all that threatening or honestly all that interested in the people walking by. If you see a sign that makes you look twice, send it our way. Next@9news.com is the email address. You can always use the hashtag #HeyNext. A note tonight from Jan says that she's a teacher. Thank you for holding Congresswoman Boebert's claims to the truth test. Classroom teachers, she says, are working hard to educate students how to vet sources and evidence and claims. This was emphasized even more heavily in the new standards we've adopted over the recent years. It is a critical skill for students, Jan says, and vital for voting citizens. I will be honest with you, Jan, when we reached out to Congresswoman Boebert's staff asking for a citation, I expected that they would have something a little bit more substantial for us than a conspiracy theory website citing an anonymous source. But given the reach of her social media to millions and millions of people, figured it'd be worthwhile to bring it to your attention here. You would demand better sourcing from your students, and I think we should demand better sourcing from our elected officials. Thanks for spending a Monday with us. See you next time.